Welcome to Season 3 of Time and Materials, a construction-only podcast that's powered by livecost.com, where we sit down with interesting people doing interesting things in construction. These construction experts kindly give us their time so that you can walk away with greater insights to make better day-to-day decisions in your construction career. Hello, you're very welcome to another episode of the Time and Materials podcast. So in this episode, I'm joined by Rob Fox. Rob is a chartered civil engineer by trade, if you want to call it that, but now the CEO of Supplyo. So Supplyo is a platform that helps construction companies manage their supply chain management. So I got to sit down with Rob and talk through his background and his transition as a site engineer through to contracts manager to now being a tech CEO. Rob gives us an incredible amount of knowledge, especially around the implementation of software, some of the do's and don'ts and best practices that he's seeing. So sit back, enjoy, and I hope you get some value from my chat. Supplyo CEO, Rob Fox. Rob, welcome back. I have to say, thanks for giving us your time again and coming on to the Time Materials. How's things been for you since we last spoke?
Yeah, all good, all good. Yeah, no, it's great to be back, Ciaran. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, it's been good since we spoke last. Things move quickly and things change quickly, but all good.
For those that don't know, Rob, I'm going to just go back just a couple of steps just before we start jumping into Supplyo and what's been going on there. If you go right back. I mean, why construction as a whole? What was your trade, if you want to call it that? Bring us right back to the start.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to go back to the start because I suppose I'm a civil engineer originally, so that's how I ended up in construction. It was either go into design or go on site. So I decided on site would suit me better. So yeah, I worked in construction as a site engineer, project manager, contracts manager for over 20 years in Ireland, Australia, and enjoyed it. It's a fantastic industry, but it's completely mad industry as well, and I just got an opportunity through my brother-in-law, who is an insurance technology entrepreneur, and because he pulled back the curtain a little bit about what he was doing in the tech space, and a bit like the old Yazzer Hughes, which some people might remember from Boys in the Black stuff, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. I said I could do that. It was a job. I could do that. So I said I'd have a crack at it. So that's my background, and that's, I suppose, how I got into the construction technology space.
What did you see, Rob? Like, was there a glaring problem in front of you that you said that, you know what, this needs to be looked at, or what was the trigger that said I'm going to down tool, so to speak, and what I'm doing here, and just go into an industry that's unknown to me?
Yeah, and listen, I suppose I knew the industry well. I just obviously didn't know the technology side of it well, even though I had a passion for technology. But I also felt that technology was underserving the construction industry. And listen, that's changed a lot in the last 7 years since I've been even doing this. But at the time, I felt it was underserved. And I suppose, like, when I originally got the technology bug, all I could see in construction when I was still in construction were loads of problems that I thought could be solved by technology. So I kind of spent a bit of time looking at different things that came to me immediately. But as I thought about it over probably a couple of years before I actually made a jump, I eventually zoned in on supply chain management because I felt that wasn't being served as well as an offering in the technology space. But mainly because I thought it was an area where, we could help construction companies have the biggest impact, because here on, most projects with the larger main contractors or developers, the subcontractors do 85% of the work. That's where all the value is. That's where all the risk is. And for a main contractor, who would be one of our main types of clients, the money is made or lost in the big construction procurement stage. Once you pick the subcontractor, you've agreed the price and everything else, and then whether they're fit to do the job or not, that's all water under the bridge by the time you pick them when they go on site. So that's why I kind of zoned in that area.
How would you go? I mean, I'm actually, obviously we're very similar in that sense, that come from the construction background. Had something about tech was very shiny to me as well, where I said I like to look at what's over the wall. I think I'm going to have a go at that. But I suppose a lot of people to listen to this would be QS sitting in an office, business owner running a company, and they would be seeing the same problems that we probably seeing as well. Like,
Mm.
how did you go about saying, right, I think there's a problem here that I could potentially solve that could be much bigger than the job I'm working in? Like, how do you go then about validating that there's a business in that?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question because you do see the shiny technology and it's exciting. And I started listening to podcasts about technology in San Francisco and Palo Alto, and I really got into it. And then sometimes you feel that all that glitters is not gold. But how did I go about trying to see is there validating, I suppose, the hypothesis that I had because I was fairly certain that I was onto something. But as you know, thinking that yourself and actually validate that in the market are two different things. So I suppose I started off with a minimal viable product. We built a kind of the first version of what was Site Passport, which is now Supplyo. So since we spoke the last time, we've changed our name from Site Passport to Supplyo. We're still the same company. But I built a product and I started to bring it out and try and get in front of anybody I could to show them to say, this is what we're doing. This is what it looks like. This is how it works. Because you have to have something to show people. And I suppose the feedback I got on that was positive that we were onto something, but it was quite immature at that stage. So to some degree, we were really just doing research and development for the first couple of years and going out, talking to people, coming back and then putting my heads together with my technology team and saying, okay, could we do this? Could we do that? And then going back out with the latest version, showing it to people and iterating on that till there was a point where somebody said, yeah, that's now substantial enough and valuable enough for me to start using it as a software solution. So that was kind of the process.
What problem, if you just summarize the problem you solve? I mean, every great company solves a big problem. What
Mhm.
problem does Supplyo solve, and who's it for?
Yeah. So who's a far? We work with anybody, I suppose, in the built environment. Anybody who has a complex supply chain that will operate across multiple projects and sometimes multiple jurisdictions and multiple sectors. Our customers tend to work across anything from residential to pharma to data centers. So anybody has a complex supply chain. And by that I mean if you're working across all those different areas and types of sectors and lots of complex projects, you need to have a diverse and complex supply chain. You need lots of different types of subcontractors and suppliers. You need some that'll do pharma, you need some that'll do the residential, and sometimes they overlap and sometimes they're completely different animals. So they're the type of companies we work with. So what problem do we solve for those companies? I suppose, as you know yourself, here at this stage, construction has always been very competitive, and the margins are low, the risks are high, and with inflation over the last number of years and hyperinflation, that job of trying to make margin has even got harder. And there are other things coming into play, including ESG, which are going to add to construction inflation potentially. So I suppose what we're trying to help our customers with is going right back to the start, even when they're trying to win work. If you just take main contractors for a second, a main contractor, as anybody who works for main contracting, particularly in estimating and surveying, will understand that when you're trying to win a job and you're competing against all your competitors to win that tender, you're relying on subcontractors in particular, and to some degree suppliers, to give you pricing for the different elements of that project based on that they're the experts in their field and they'll tell you, what 1,000 tons of rebar will cost today. You might have an idea of that yourself, but those things move so quickly. They're constantly going out, estimators are going out trying to get prices off subcontractors. And sometimes they can't get prices off subcontractors because a lot of people don't want the price for estimators. Let's call a spade a spade. And it's nothing against estimators. It's just that they're talking to somebody who hasn't won the job yet. They don't have a job. They're just trying to win the job. So they might price might not.
No transaction at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. And listen, sometimes that's just the cost of doing business, and different companies take a view on that. But there's one thing is having enough good relationships with subcontractors to help so that they will help the main contractor in that process of bidding. But even if you have good relationships with a large number of subcontractors who will work with you on that, you have to really understand which subcontractors are capable of pricing that job properly. Because sometimes a subcontractor will price a job on the back of the fag packet. They might give it a lot of detail. They might just do it because they get the main contractor off the back and they don't want to offend them by saying we're not going to price it. So they might put in a price. And if depending on how much time they give that and how much interest they have in pricing that properly, or how much experience they have. So if you ask a residential mechanical contractor to price a pharma job for you, you're probably going to get a price back that's either too high or too low. So our system starts at the start is trying to understand the supply chain and have enough information about the supply chain to say, okay, there's 50 mechanical contractors we could ask to price this. There's probably only 10 that actually would price it for us because we have that relationship with they'll price a job for us, even if we're only trying to win it. But out of those 10, there might only be 5 actually that are suitable to pricing their property. Because at the end of the day, when the main contractor wins a job and they get the call to say you've won the job, there's usually kind of 2 reactions. It's like, great, we've won the job. And then it's like, oh shit, have we got everything covered? So there's a risk when you're pricing work in
And
main contracting.
is the suitability, Robert, does that come down to historical interactions we've had, i.e. we've worked on projects previously with these subcontractors and we know that they're suitable for that project, or are you collecting data on those subcontractors from elsewhere?
Yeah, so a lot of it is some of it is based on relationships, obviously, so you feel this person usually gives us reliable prices and, we can trust those prices. So there's a trust element to it. But you don't always have that level of trust and experience with a subcontract. You might be asking the price. So then it comes down to data. If you don't have the relationship and the knowledge and the trust and the experience with them, you're relying on data. So between data that we collect about the industry, information that the main contractors may have themselves, or information that is requested of the subcontractors directly, we put together a data set, a set of information that allows then, even at the estimating stage, allows main contractors, estimator or surveyor to go in and say, okay, based on this data, tell me of the 50 electrical contractors, who are the 5 or 6 that are suitable to price in this project. And then you're getting a more reliable price, and then your overall bid is more reliable.
Do the subcontractors interact then with the platform directly themselves?
Yeah, they do. And they're invited to interact. So the difference between our platform and other platforms is that, the marketplace sometimes allows the subcontractors to be notified there's a job coming out and they'll put their hand up for it. Our platform is much more controlled in that if a main contractor wants to start an engagement with a subcontractor, they reach out to that subcontractor and say, hey, we have this job coming up. And they bring them through a process of to some degree relationship building with them, but also asking them for information. And so the subcontractor engages with the platform even at that stage. And really it's a two-way street. I'll give you this information, Mr. Main Contractor, but I'm kind of giving you this information on the basis that don't send me tenders that are not suitable for me, because I get those every day. So you've asked for information. I appreciate that. Here's it. And if a job comes up, you think it's a good fit for me, you want me to price it, send to me. But don't send me any old rubbish just because it says I do mechanical, on my website.
How have you found? Imagine the maturity of a company's tech know-how would probably be important there to gather the right information. You mentioned 7 years ago, probably. I think we're on very similar paths in terms of timeline as well. We would have been doing our research around that time as well. And again, we would have seen probably what you've seen, massive gaping hole across the industry, very technically underserved. And with that comes problems as well, is that it isn't the norm, right, to have to understand software as part of your role as a, whatever QS or whoever you might be. You don't have to have that deep knowledge of software. How do you find adoption, right? And when I talk about adoption, I say you've got a product. Is it key that you educate the subcontractors and the main contractor how to use that platform before it can be used, or how do they understand how to use your product in order to get the best from it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So it's a little bit more straightforward on the supply chain subcontractor side, because the level of engagement that they have with the platform is much less, obviously. And the key to that is it's just got to be really, really highly intuitive, because unless a subcontractor opens up an email and it starts to go through a process, and they can follow it without having any questions. And actually, that process needs to be easier than how they used to do it before, so you're making it easier for them to engage. So it has to be highly intuitive and highly user-friendly for the suppliers, because you can provide videos, you could do seminars and all the rest of it, but people won't turn up and they don't have time and everything else. So that's straightforward enough. The same obviously equally applies on the main contractor side who wants to engage with the supply chain. And again, it has to be highly intuitive, a very good user experience, usability, user-friendly, all that good stuff. But there is a bit more, I suppose, training and education around that. And I suppose when we start working with a customer, usually somebody within that company will get what we're doing quite quickly. and they'll go, I get it. I've been thinking about this. I've been looking for this. I get it. And you get them on board, and this is obviously through the sales process. When you get to the stage where that person, that company decide they want to do it, there is actually a bit of an education for the rest of the team, because some people think more about some things than others and might be further ahead in their knowledge path. So the first thing we do is to make sure everybody understands what our technology, what the problem is that we're trying to solve for their company, and how we do it before we get into any training or learning anything else. Like this is, because they have to get that, they have to buy into, we have this problem, and that this solution looks like it's going to help us to solve that problem. And sometimes, earlier in our own journey, we didn't spend as much time on that. We kind of just assumed everybody got it. So we do that. And then, after that, then it is the training part. The training, then once you have people on board, the training becomes very kind of straightforward. People want to learn. They want to know how it works. They want to start using it. And once they start using it, it becomes like riding a bike. It takes a little bit to get going. But it's again, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just providing a much more intuitive, streamlined, simpler way of doing a lot of what they did already. They're just doing it all in one place as opposed to trying to do it all over the shop.
Some of the things that we come across as well when we speak to a lot of our customers, we would hear a lot of, oh, we bought a system similar last year, it just didn't work out for us, and we've been using that system over there, but to be honest with you, I think we only probably get about 20% of the value out of it. And a lot of the time when we dig into them questions, it feels like the implementation part of the system is probably the right system for the company. It feels the implementation probably didn't go to plan. As a construction business owner, let's say I'm a business owner, director, part of the management team, whatever it might be, if I was asking you then, like, what are some do's and don't do's when it comes to me wanting to implement, like, let's say I come to you, I'm a decision maker of the company, I like your system, I really like it. I've got some concerns whether we're going to get the buy-in from the team, because that's the way they do things. Is we don't want to be disrupting things too much. But I see it, I get it. What are some of the do's and don't do's in terms of how we could get this from, I like the product, into it, right? We can get the team fully using this product in terms of its process of from training and implementation.
Yeah, I listen, you're absolutely spot on. You could have a product that's absolutely perfect for that company. It solves a really big problem that they have. And the managing director might absolutely buy into it because he's in the helicopter looking down and has an appreciation, for these things. And it can be a real challenge for that main contractor and ourselves then to bring everybody on that bus, as you say. And again, we didn't probably give this enough time. We didn't fully understand this whole process ourselves initially. But I suppose how we refine that and improve that is getting, the people on the call, to understand you're not jumping straight into the solution. This is the feedback we've had from your company. These are the problems that we hear you have, and we're just trying to use our software to help you solve those problems. Now, I try and ask people on that call, and I do this in conjunction with the managing director, tell them how we're going to go about this. And I got to say, some of you might have some objections to this, and some of you might not like the idea. So, it'd be great to hear those concerns or objections or worries, and let's get them out on the table. Now, not everybody will put their hand up, but you're giving people an opportunity to say, listen, I think this is a load of rubbish. I don't think we should be doing this. Because it could be 5 people, it could be 50 people on that call. So you're kind of trying to smoke out the people who might not want to do this for reasons that might not be the best interest of the company, but you really are trying to give people the opportunity to voice those concerns. And then after that, I suppose we're very heavy in being hands-on in the implementation. It's a project management, people management exercise. So we set out an implementation plan and say, there's a lot of things that you want our software to do and we'd like our software to do for you, but we're not going to do them all in one go. We're going to start off what we believe is the most urgent problem that you have and where we can add the most value. And we're going to start and roll that out, and we're going to make sure the right people get the training on that. And when that's done and everybody's happy with that, we're going to go in 6 weeks' time to phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4, whatever it might be. And some people will want to move faster than others. Some people will like it might be nice and slow, but we'll move at whatever speed the company wants to move at. But we would always say it's one thing at a time. If this is a solution like ours where there's 4 modules and you want to use all 4, well, you have to decide which one to start with, and then you build confidence with everybody, including the broader team, the managing director, and people get to know each other, and you build relationships, you build a bit of rapport. And then you say, okay, guys, I didn't want to overhook it there. Now we're going to phase 2. And then you take them through that. But we're extremely hands-on in managing that. And we would have calls every 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on what's necessary to make that happen. And people have to turn up. And if people don't turn up, or don't engage, we will report back to the managing director and say, not to beat people up. We're just saying this is the level of engagement we got. These people are turned up. These people didn't turn up. I'm sure there's a good reason for it, but you're trying to empower the managing director to provide the leadership based on, he wants to do it. And sometimes the managing director needs to obviously provide that leadership and push people a little bit without kind of, trying to break them.
Is there ever a case where you will ask or even try and get like senior management involved in the training process for the sake of providing that bit of leadership to say, right, this is going in and I'm here on this call and I'm going to make sure that even though I'm not going to have any involvement in the day-to-day operation of the system, but I am driving this in. Is there any cases where you need to draft in senior leadership management?
Yeah, and in fact, we insist on it, because unless they turn up and take the time to hear it, because they get the idea of it, but they need to know the detail too, and they need to know how it works and all that to have a better sense for it. Because very often they just get the concept. But it's really important, as you say, Ciaran, from a leadership point of view, and they're showing this is important to me. So if I'm going to turn up for 45 minutes to go through a familiarization and training session, I expect everybody else to turn up.
Yeah. You've been fairly active on LinkedIn recently, pushing out. Actually, I use it as a news feed nearly on it by itself, just looking at project. I used to use CIS for project information, but I can get it all through you now. What was you think?
Free.
Yeah, it's free. Well, not forever. I'd say you have something like that planned there, Rob. What was your thinking there? Like, did you come up and say, well, I need to start getting myself out there? Like, did you have any? I'm always interested in people's sort of got your business and your marketing that goes on, and then you got your own personal stuff. What was your thinking there? Like, I'm just getting more active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think LinkedIn is fantastic, and I still think I'm only scratching the surface on it. Even though every time I talk to somebody, I say, "Oh, I saw you on LinkedIn." So it definitely is effective, and I suppose people hate salesy marketing stuff, and LinkedIn to me is really a place for people to share knowledge and share ideas and what's going on in the world. And I suppose I'm always looking at what's going on in the world, just watching what's on in the news or whatever it is, obviously very construction related. And I will post something or repost something if I think it would be of interest to me and the wider industry. That's amazing that John Sisk and Son are about to start on the Manchester City Stadium. I didn't know that there was a tender process. I maybe missed the tender process, but they're now starting. And so okay, that's something that people out there would like to know about. And it goes to, obviously the quid pro quo of social media is that you're building your profile, but you're trying to give people interesting information and maybe some thought leadership that is of interest to people. Yet it has the benefit of raising your profile as an individual, as the CEO of a company, but also of the company itself. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, it seems to be working well. I mean, it is if anyone wants to reach out, Rob, is LinkedIn the best place to connect with you?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is the best place. You'll find all our contact details on our website, but really, I think LinkedIn is the best place to contact us. And people can contact me about whatever they want. Like sometimes people would see we're doing, for example, something on blockchain or we're involved in some industry-wide initiative. So it doesn't have to be, hey, Rob, we're interested in your service. I'm always interested to talk to people who have interesting thoughts about the future of construction and everything else. And that's what gets me excited is to hear what people are thinking. And sometimes that'll feed into how we look at our own business and what offerings we have. But sometimes it's just have those conversations and, be in the loop about what's happening out there.
Absolutely. Last question for me. What is the overall vision for Supplyo? What are you like, if we fast forward 5 years, 7 years, and you're looking back, what are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I suppose I believe that one of the most important things in construction is the relationship between, let's say, main contractors and subcontractors. And I think that relationship sometimes, gets bogged down in paperwork and all the administrative part of it. And very often that distracts people from doing the construction piece. Yeah, we've seen that across, I think. So what we're trying to do is make that engagement between main contractors and subcontractors as simple and as easy as possible so that more of the time can be spent on both sides on the construction piece and less on the paperwork. And the paperwork, has to be done, but the duplication and multiplication of information has been asked for. And, construction's hard enough. We don't need to make it any harder by putting this huge burden on people, asking them for the same information 3 or 4 times. So that's our vision, is to make it easier for main contractors, subcontractors to do business together, and that everybody can get on with construction and spend time trying to get things done and trying to make a few quid and not have fellas stuck in the office doing admin work to some degree that the technology can take care of.
Is that a UK Ireland vision, or are you looking to go further?
Presently, it's a UK Ireland. That's kind of big enough for us right now.
Yeah.
But we are talking to a lot of contractors who are operating across the EU, particularly in the pharma and the data center side of things. So that's a very interesting area. And we are starting to work with companies who have that breadth. I would say the US is in the future, but I wouldn't say it's this year or next year.
Yeah. No doubt you'll get there, Rob. Great product, great business. Listen, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks, Ciaran. Always good to talk, and see you soon.
Time and Materials is brought to you by LiveCost, the construction software fully designed to manage your construction financial forecasts. Visit livecost.com to take a product tour, or reach out to our team of construction cost experts to transform your project profits. Any links mentioned during this episode, including speaker profiles or any other resources, are available on the podcast show notes. Your feedback is also welcome. We would really appreciate if you could take a moment to leave us a review or email your comments, guest suggestions to hello@timeandmaterials.com. Finally, if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm your host, Ciaran Brennan.